All right, everybody, we are live. Welcome to Disruption. I'm your host, Nick Lefebvre. This is the show that digests and debates ideas that affect and impact the world of strength sports and bodybuilding. We all know that success only comes from change, and in order to start making change, you first need a little disruption. That's what the show is trying to do. Disrupt how we currently think about strength and bodybuilding in order to find new ways of thinking about the sports and our involvement in them. We are not here to solve or rant, just maybe offer a little bit of the kind of insight that might change sports culture as a whole. I'm, of course, joined by my co-host, Christian Matyi. What's up, Christian?
And I apparently today I'm going as a homeless trucker. I heard the word homeless is offensive. So let's say indigent trucker.
Why would a trucker be homeless? They make good money. That's a good job.
They live in a truck. So technically they don't have a home, but
they
got pipes.
Why would they not have a home?
I'm doing pipes, dude.
I'm doing the shitty generalizations. Jesus Christ.
This is the worst show we've done.
All right. This is embarrassing.
Are we doing this?
Yeah, man.
Do you have any announcements? Let me do one. I got one. My new season of my podcast, The Big Inside. This is Nick's podcast, my podcast, The Big Inside, thebiginside.com. It's still rolling along. Please go check out thebiginside.com. That's my little announcement. I just wanted to log roll.
Solid enough.
Log roll.
It is a good show. You guys definitely check it out. There's very interesting content on there. Christian does a much better job at producing and everything that we do here. This is just kind of our
this is gonna win. No, this is gonna win a Peabody for journalistic excellence. You just mark my words. This is we've got this in the bag.
We need at least one viewer first, I think.
I'll talk to my mom.
All right, yeah. This is Matyi. All right, so run us out.
Watch my show about bodybuilding.
Today's topic. Spit it out.
Oh yeah, Nick. We're going controversial.
Okay, I'm excited.
It might not be controversial. We're going a little controversial once again.
All right.
What do we do about bikini? So that's let me specialize it. In recent years, as we know, the pageant classes, we'll call them, which is, women's bikini and men's physique, and the classes of physique competition that are more pageantry have dominated the landscape, especially at the amateur level, certainly on the social media level. So there's no putting this genie back in the bottle. Bikini competition is 100% popular. It's such a moneymaker that or at least a focal point of money making, that it will not go away. So the question that I think a lot of guys who came in on the bodybuilding end of the spectrum, and even women who came in on the bodybuilding end of the spectrum, say it's contrary. And I guess today I want to know, is it contrary? Is bikini competition contrary to bodybuilding enough that it needs to be separated, or bodybuilding needs to be separated from it? Or are we putting two things together that's kind of like putting, I don't know, like apples with, kiwis. And yeah, they're both fruit, but one's a little fruitier than the other. So
it's a terrible analogy.
But you get my point. Are we matching two things that we might?
You're stepping in. All right.
You see what I'm stepping on. What about bikini? What are we going to do about bikini? This is my personal. Let me start with personal.
Yeah.
I think here come the death threats.
All right.
This is the views expressed in this vidcast do not represent Nick Lefebvre or Say Sports, just so you know. Totally don't represent.
No.
I'm personally saying that I think there's always room for pageantry, but I think that we have lost sight the sporting aspect in favor of the sort of pageant contest aspect, and I think that that's bleeding over to the athletic side of bodybuilding and lifting. I think that in other words, bikini needs
for a second.
I think it needs to be its own thing.
Sporting aspect.
It needs to be its own thing.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, get rid of it. Let me get rid of it. Demolish it from the program of bodybuilding. We need a separate thing. That's my thing.
What would you? So you said something about you think it's favoring the more pageant aspect instead of the sporting aspect. So just to kind of give it some context, what would you consider the sporting aspect of bodybuilding? It's really the whole.
Well, I got to get a little theoretical, a little philosophical on this, as you know, and I would say that when it comes to the bodybuilding posing, the amount of actual tasks that the athlete is responsible for, it's a longer list than the amount of tasks the athlete, quote unquote, is responsible for in a bikini contest. Now, people will argue, no, I did all these things. I did so many tasks to get ready for this contest. I'm not talking about prior to the moment of judging. I'm talking about the minute the foot hits the lineup. We'll say the stage. The minute that happens, from that point until they leave the stage or they leave the lineup, the amount of work there, everyone experiences work differently. It may be the same in terms of how the person experiences it, but the list of tasks you have to do in terms of memorizing poses and all the different things you have to do, there's a little bit more athleticism and likewise a little bit more interaction with the outcome of the judging. Mm-hmm. There seems to be a lot more open interpretation in bikini and men's physique, and this openness of interpretation, which includes things like my hair and my look and what I find the most offensive, how feminine am I? It's like, ew, I hope bodybuilders aren't judged on how masculine they are, right? Sure. I judge masculinity, right? Yeah, exactly. We knew the joke was coming. I'm a trucker and I judge masculinity. No, but like it's this.
Whoa.
Right? Why am I dicking on truckers? Truckers are great.
What is with you?
I know what's going on there. So the point is that I think right, the list, literally, their wheels spin and the world turns. But literally the list of things that you have to do for bodybuilding is longer, which is what I think is more sporting. It's more athletic. I'm not saying they get into, because it's a slippery slope. Then everyone says, oh, are you saying they try to do the opposite? Oh, so you're saying bikini is therefore not athletic? And what about this? And my experience was that. I'm not going there with this argument. What I'm saying is that the two together on the same plate alter the flavor of each other, kind of like how you could really like oranges and really like toothpaste, but when you put them in the same mouth at the same time, it's terrible. So the two great tasting things, not supposed to be in the same serving. That's all I'm getting at.
Okay.
They're different levels of work and different ways of working. Yeah. And I think that because one has so much subjectivity, it spills over into the other. And because one has so much method, it kind of like makes the other look dopey. Like bodybuilding makes bikini look dopey. Let's be real. Maybe bikini is some noble pursuit that I don't understand. But when you sidle it up next to the sport that has a lot of, things that happen in judging, a lot of things to score and pay attention to, it kind of looks dopey when you put it side by side. Maybe separated, it'll elevate. I don't know. I think it's to the benefit of both pursuits is what I'm getting at.
So separate shows completely? Is that what you're suggesting?
Completely. I mean, take a machete down the middle. Now, what happens? Like, I don't know, before I go into what happens, do you agree? Do you like the bikini? Because I hate it. I think it's pejorative. And let's get into the real person. I think it's pejorative. I think it's sexist. I think it's crass. And women who do it are going to come at me. And they're going to remember, these are not the opinions of Sci Sports. This is my personal opinion. I just lost listeners on my own podcast. But I think that it's something that comes out of something less than sport and less than achievement. And that's where it came from. And I think it still kind of sits there.
I think in some respects, yeah, I think as far as, and like I said, you're going a little subjective here. I was hoping you'd deliver something a little more airtight, but
give me something airtight then. Yeah, push me what I mean. Yeah, push me, please. I can deliver some airtight.
I can't say that I can either, but I mean, so here's my take on it. If you're going to put them into a similar category or compare them side by side, yeah, I mean, honestly, I love figure. I think it's amazing. I think bikini is, I couldn't care less, honestly.
Why? Make it subjective.
So I guess my take on it is this: if you can get away with doing some like toning exercises and lots of Stairmaster and some glute kickbacks and stuff like that, instead of the focus on your training being squatting, deadlifting, heavy leg press, stuff like that, like the stuff you'll see figure chicks doing, and they're training just as hard as their male counterparts, if not harder, that are competing in bodybuilding and stuff like that. If you can get away with that type of like fitness regimen, and then step on stage and be competitive and compete in what is supposed to be a bodybuilding competition, although the division may be considered bikini, I think, yeah, they can't really be held to an equal standard as far as like bodybuilding. You know what I mean?
What did you mean by you wanted me? I do agree, but what did you mean by you wanted me to
that
get
lack of athleticism and that lack of like training diligence and kind of pushing it to the next level and towing the line with those like limitations. Yeah, I don't think you can, and I don't think that anyone would make this argument anyways. But I really don't think you can compare it equally to bodybuilding. I think, like you said,
well, and that's the thing is that
point when you're putting that little into it, I'm just going to say, when you're putting that little into it, because I know a handful of bikini girls that train like that, man. It's like a fucking fitness aerobics class instead of like weightlifting, and they can get away with that, and they can diet down on that, and like they don't need more muscle than that. And they can get away with being pretty successful in the sport, and it's not because of just good genetics. It's just that's all that's really required. I think, like you said, the fact that they consider that some type of like ideal feminine shape, it is a little fucking sexist, and I don't know
right.
why.
And we have a whole bunch of things on the table here, and like I want to sort of like rally it down toward, because we're gonna have to do many more topics of this one. And this is all great points, Nick. I think that one of the things that I want to get at, because you were talking about something more substantive, and I think one of the more substantive points, and then you're hitting on it, is how this fits in with competition. Where it sits now is that competitions house, like you said, all these sports.
Yeah.
And I think that I will say that one of the main reasons bodybuilding has fallen off among amateurs in favor of men's physique has a lot to do, not directly, but just with the presence of bikini, that the sensibility of, what bikini brought into those contests transferred over to the men's side pretty quickly. And I'm not blaming, I'm saying, oh, shame on bikini, but I'm saying if we're going to look at why bodybuilding seems to be plunking along and struggling, we have to look at the inclusion of these pageant classes as the focus of these leagues.
Well, when you and I have done some pretty extensive outreach in terms of, we go to a lot of fucking drug tested shows. We see a lot of those guys. We have a lot of conversations with people.
And even a few not tested shows, you go to all kinds of shows.
Yeah, absolutely. We go to NPC shows and everything, but I'm just saying majority of what we've heard, you and I, just based on our own experience, when we ask guys why they do men's physique instead of bodybuilding, and I'm saying that because I'm stressing the drug tested shows, because quite realistically, bodybuilding, it's the one class. I mean, it's
right. That's a whole other show. Yeah.
It's more attainable. Yeah. It's not this fucking ridiculous freakish thing. You're not seeing super heavyweights that are weighing in at fucking 240 on stage. It's not a thing. So my point is, it's a little bit more attainable. It's a lot more realistic. And yet the number one fucking thing we hear from men's physique competitors is, I don't think I'm bodybuilding material. It's too hard. It's just, I don't think I can make it. I don't think I'm worth it. It doesn't seem attainable. And it's like, of all those fucking shows you go to, you will see some really fucking small, stringy guys at drug tested shows. And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of them come in crazy peeled, crazy conditioned, even if they don't have huge fucking wheels or a ton of muscle mass. That's not what fucking bodybuilding is about. That's not where it started. And,
I think that, well, I mean, getting back over to bikini, the attainability is what you're getting at here. Is like,
that's what I'm saying. So I think that some of that bled into the men's physique, why else would it be there?
Right. Well, I think that's the thing, is that it's that attainability, it's that accessibility of my glorious moment, of my participation in the community, of my connecting with other competitors. That's what's actually, I think, the brand of bikini, whether people want to admit it or not, that it allows a woman to have her moment in a much more expedient way. Same cost for her in a way, but now I don't have to go these extra 20 steps and extra this many years. Yeah. I get that. We've had pageants forever. That I'm not saying they need to go away. I'm not saying they're wrong. But what I'm saying is that there is a degree to where that attitude of how do I expedite toward a trophy or expedite toward a glorious moment,
attitude,
that has been diminishing and even demeaning the idea of competition, because the inclusion of bikini really has driven that agenda of everybody get a trophy and it should be attainable to everyone.
Yeah.
And the whole point of competition is that, no, we're competing. It's a race here. And not everyone's going to hit that finish line at the same time. And it might be a photo finish, but the idea, the enjoyment is the striving. And if we're leveling the striving, we're leveling all the striving.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we look at somebody like Kyle, for example, who's putting in the work right now. He's not thinking about stepping on stage for bodybuilding. He knows he's maybe not.
This is our friend Kyle Parrish. Go follow him on Parrish Fitness.
To be at. And he's taking his time with that. That's bodybuilding. That's bodybuilding. That's figure. You know, that's any type of women's or men's building your body. It is a process. And you should be in love with that process. You should not be in love with
the glory.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't be. If you can still progress and make changes and you're competing every fucking spring season and every fall season, it's probably not taking that much in terms of a process.
Well, let me pull back from the should language. That's fine. You can do that. But what my point is,
see them, they're competing fucking 2 separate times a year.
But get them away from bodybuilding. That's my point. Separate them, because they can do that. I'm not saying as an individual personal choice in life, great, go for it. What I'm saying is that your point that I'm hearing is that it doesn't gel.
No, it does
with
not.
How we've known these physique competitions to be throughout all of history. Doesn't gel at all.
And yet, you know, tell that to promoters and stuff like that, because that's
they don't want to hear it.
Moneymaker. No, they won't hear it. They don't want to hear it. And, you know, from their perspective, if I'm looking at it strictly objectively, I don't know if I can blame them. Yeah, it is a business. You know, they need.
Well, I do blame them a little bit, because I do think one of our problems is that
continue with those shows.
Well, the amateur guys try to be like the big NPC shows, the big IFBB shows, which is wrong, because it's kind of like if I'm going to start up a business, you know, selling muffins.
Your own niche.
You start out selling your damn muffins. You don't try to be Panera on day one.
No, of course.
And yes, you can look at what Panera does and take some of those ideas, but start in your niche, like you said. And one of the things that I don't think amateur contest promoters, this goes to the NPC as well, are doing enough of is scaling back their overhead. Here's the buzz. In order to be able to have a smaller contest and still make their revenue. I think that the idea that it always has to be like some massive theater with lights and this and 5,000 classes and all these trophies and all. I think, honestly, I mean, I've emceed dozens of contests and I've gone to even hundreds of shows. If you were to take just the chunks of time it takes to do any one division, be it bodybuilding, bikini, just the division, maximum 2 to 4 hours. And an amateur level, sometimes 1.5 to 3. Not a lot of time. That's a morning. That's someone's morning. Now, this is anecdotal. I'm not saying I have actual hard data for this, but on the majority, from what I've witnessed, and I've timed these things, you can get a bodybuilding contest done or even a bikini contest done at a lot lower cost. And they keep them together so they can make the revenue to afford the fancier thing, just like the big guys do, just like Panera has. Scale it back. Then we can actually maybe give each of these sports a little bit of a fair shake to what they are.
Let me ask you this. What about 2 separate days? What if you did a weekend of it?
Yes. What about 2 separate freaking leagues? At that point, like, why not?
Leagues. Interesting. All right. Yeah.
Well, what if bodybuilding, what if there was a bikini league that held the standard of...
What if there was?
That's my point.
We could only fucking... Who knows?
That's my point, though, is that I think that we're trying to staple too much onto bodybuilding, and it's been happening since the 90s.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Yeah, absolutely.
So what do we do? Do we go online and saying, here's my thing. Would you dissuade a woman from doing bikini if she walked up to you, found out you competed, and started saying, I was thinking about doing bikini? How do you, and this is personal, this is totally subjective, how do you react? Do you turn her away from bikini or what?
I would suggest figure. I would say, have you heard of figure?
All right.
Is there a reason you wouldn't consider doing figure?
Same. I'm the same way. I mean, I feel like,
man, it's part of the process. You know, I dated somebody who's competes in bikini, and it was always a struggle. It was always like, you know, God forgive me, this is going to sound like so judgmental, but it seemed like they were more interested in chasing those affirmations that you get posting on social media and competing than the process. And my question was always, why don't you take a full year, just 1 year of your life, and build muscle, build up that structure, and
get into the method.
You'll have it. It'll be there. You can display it year after year, rather than competing, you know, 2-3 different times a year and just trying your luck each time. And you're doing a prep, and the prep is the fucking same, and you look the fucking same. Why wouldn't you just build on that and then diet down? Why wouldn't you build muscle mass, understanding that? And I get that a lot of people aren't really interested in that. A lot of people,
and I think that
want the quick thing,
you answered the question.
In pursuing that process. It takes fucking years to build muscle if you're not using drugs. It takes years. And even if you are, it still takes years to get to an elite competitive level. So
if you want to compete in a sport that doesn't need that, then we should probably look at how that sport is next to a sport that does need that. And that's, I think, what we're getting at. I think the answer to the question is, what do we do with bikini? We're going to have a lot more of these conversations. I don't think this is the last one we're going to have.
You want to see what you guys
opens
think.
up a whole kettle.
Idiots, or are we revolutionary in this idea? I mean, what do you?
I want to hear. I want to hear from people.
Yeah, I do too. I
definitely want to hear.
Curious. I had never even considered what it would be like to run 2 different leagues, but it's almost kind of brilliant.
It's kind of a fun idea.
Yeah, especially because, like you said, at that point you could like split the cost of a venue, do it on a whole weekend, and it's still 2 separate organizations.
Right. You could have the promoter saves cost. The competitors are more invested. You might get a bigger room, like as far as ticket sales, because now I know I'm buying a ticket. And I'm not there for 12 hours waiting for my one person.
Waiting for all the other fucking classes to finish up. Because how many shows have we been at? We're there at fucking 6, 7 in the morning, and we don't leave until 9 or 10 at night. Oh my God. It is
which is, if it was a national level major event, that's fine, but not at some amateur show.
I agree. No, it gets crazy. It gets out of hand. And you see some of these, especially, you know, some of the NPC shows we've been to, there's 250 competitors and there's fucking 30 bodybuilders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
and those 30 bodybuilders could be done in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Everyone goes home to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that so yeah, this is definitely, we've got into a few other topics here. I think the thing is that the conclusion here, and we can wrap the show. I want to hear from people. The thing about bikini is thinking around bikini needs more disruptive thought, and we'll address this again, because I just think that we need to.
And like you said, it's more a matter of as they mesh together. It's not the sport itself. Maybe the person.
Yeah, we're not coming down on bikini. We're coming down on the mesh.
Judgmental assholes. I don't know. But it's more just like, how does this really belong directly adjacent to bodybuilding?
Yes, that's our problem. That's the problem. And thank you for clarifying that, because that's the thing. We want to hear about it. People, leave comments. Do the things. Should peppermint and orange be on the same plate or not? That's what we want to hear about.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for joining us on Disruption. We hope we were able to provide a little bit of a different perspective. This show is brought to you today by Saisei Sports, makers of Rect pre-workout. Learn more on our website, www.saiseisports.com. We'll have the link below. Today's show was produced by myself, Nick Lefebvre, along with Christian Matyi and the Physiculture.
I'm a trucker.
Please be sure to leave a comment below and definitely subscribe for future episodes of Disruption. Christian, close us out.
Hey, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you real soon.
And check out The Big Inside.
That too.
All right.